Virus and Magic, Rise of Spider-Man, Chapter 33, Trial by Fire, and action! 19. Stop telling me that. All you're doing is just reminding me of how much padding this is! Please, someone out there, anybody, tell me this whole entire dang Spider-Man facing off against the princesses and winning all his fights has a point! Because right now, you are dangerously venturing into making him not appear! The setting sun touched the horizon, leaving the sky a stained dark shade of orange. The land looked like it had been set ablaze, the bright alicorn burning at its center. The stallion stood in the courtyard, his blank lenses staying locked on the princess. The crowd continued to gather, joining their herd after a word of spread of Luna's defeat. Too easy of a defeat, if you ask me! Celestia's challenge. Above the castle, Pegasus soared until she reached a good vantage point. Bright orange irises and mane fastening the fiery sky perfectly. Smirking, Spitfire perched herself on one of the castle's rooftops, folded her limbs, and watched the fight ready to unfold. Looks like I made it just in time, she said, pulling her goggles back behind her ears. Let's see what you got, Peter. The nobles and guards went into an uproar. Yay! Cheering wildly for the two adversaries as Princess Celestia engaged Spider-Man in combat. A horn emitted a bright light before firing several beams at the costumed stallion, who quickly charged the alicorn in an upright two-hoof sprint, increasing his speed. Peter ducked underneath the first beam, dashed to the side to avoid the second, and spun his body to dodge the rest, all in a smooth, rapid succession. Princess Celestia huffed, vanishing with bright flash, before she returned a few hoofs away from Spider-Man and brought her flaming glaive to bear with authority. Threatening to impale the stallion, the spider sense blared profusely, forcing Peter to skirt to an immediate halt, and launched himself away with a backflip before the weapon could meet with his body. The glaive melted through stone, flames erupting from underneath upon impact, and creating a shockwave. Force pushed the stallion further into the air than he would have liked, but Spider-Man shot a strand of webbing from his hoof and yanked hard, shifting his momentum toward his side of the arena. Breaking away from his webbing, he flipped to his limbs stretched out with the grace of an acrobat and landed perfectly on his hind hooves to the magical barrier where a group of nobles stood. Such grace! A blue mare gasped, pushing herself further against the shield the Carolines held. Her brow furrowed behind a pair of rose-tinted shades as she kept the stallion locked in her crosshairs. It was easy for the snow-white mare to grow so enamored of a specimen. Oh, for Pete's sake! His movements were fluid, suddenly pure poetry in motion. Spider-Man's body was not bulky in the slightest, but underneath the colorful attire was a slender, perfectly athletic figure. The details of his ripped musculature structure was easy to spot thanks to his skin-tight spandex. That was a very important paragraph, thank you. As Spider-Man leapt from his position, closing the distance between himself and Princess Celestia, and slid her into a jet black dress, retrieved a handkerchief, dabbed the cloth against her forehead, wiped away the perspiration that formed due to her heightened body temperature and flaming armament of Princess Celestia, while pressing a button on the side of a large camera next to her. Embedded on a golden tag on the lens was vein-folded Venice, and before long, the mare found herself taking what seemed like dozens of pictures of Spider-Man. You astonishing Hectophile! Allow me to capture your magnificence! She exclaimed, much ignoring his opponents around her, begging that this asset be as marvelous as she hoped. Flipping high into the air, Spider-Man landed directly behind Princess Celestia, dove forward to deliver a straight punch to her seemingly vulnerable side. But the alicorn's glaive spun around and parried the attack, shifting Peter's momentum until he completely rolled past his opponent's body. Stallion managed to cartwheel his away from the ground, spinning around to throw a wide kick aimed for Celestia's neck. However, like before, the princess selected his attack and directed Spider-Man's momentum skyward, causing the stallion to flip over head over heels with no chance to recover. Rather, this let every pony in the castle believed for he quickly recollected his sense of balance in midair, lifting to yet another perfect landing. Spider-Man saw a strand of webbing into the ground, sprinting for his opponent without severing the thread from his hoof. He jumped high into the air with a dove with the speed of a missile to deliver a kick. Princess Celestia sidestepped and used her glaive to direct the stallion's momentum into the ground, haunting him soundly. The alicorn spun the blade, diving into where Peter landed. Spider-Man yanked his webbing, slingshotting himself away from Solaris' flame. Before Celestia could recover, Peter threw his weight forward, extended, slowed her host, and landed sort of a vicious double kick. But the Alcorn's wings spread, lifting her from the ground and out of Peter's reins. Peter recovered, chuckling as he watched the Sun Princess float gracefully in the air. Oh, right, I forgot you can fly. To labor breaths, Celestia managed to smile at her opponent. I must admit, it's been too long since I last pushed myself like this. She said as vast amounts of magical energy escaped from her horn, emitting a light potent enough to shine through the entire courtyard. Her eyes disappear, replaced by the same light. Celestia's voice echoed with a calm, firm tone. Now I believe it is time we get serious. Does he agree? Spider-Man nodded, lowering his body as he retook a defensive stance. Likewise. Meanwhile on the balcony, Keen's eyes had loved Princess Luna, who had yet to regain consciousness. She stole her glance at her husband and sister-in-law out of the corner of her eye, as she used to heal her aunt. Multiple tremors coursed through the castle, nearly breaking her concentration on each occasion. But Keen stayed the course, ignoring her curiosity and begged the transpiring. The oohs and ahs of the crowd weren't helping either. Her auntie Celestia was such a benevolent figure, displaying only love and tolerance to those around her. The idea of such a calm, caring pony fighting like a warrior seemed surreal. With her longevity, wisdom, and daily duty of raising and lowering the sun, it was easy to sense how powerful Celestia possibly was. Yet, considering the feat that Peter had accomplished at his age, there was a better than even chance he was one of the most extraordinary beings in equestrian history. Keen sighed despondently. It was truly a shame she couldn't watch the spectacle, but injuries to the central nervous system, even those as mild as a simple concussion, were delicate things. Any lapse in concentration would be catastrophic. The Alcorn closed her eyes and whispered a prayer, hoping both her aunt and friend avoided serious injury. Princess Celestia aimed her horn at the ground in mid-flight and fired several bolts of white-hot light at the stallion. The Spider-Man jumped straight into the air, firing a strand of webbing into one of Celestia's castle's high walls, swung past any beams that neared its position. The resulting explosion blinded all ponies down below. Quite lucky to be shielded from the ensuing shrapnel. Circle strafing to keep her distance, Celestia anticipated Peter's movements, shot a beam directly for the path he was heading. Using the strength in his legs and core, Spider-Man hurled himself from his webbing and vaulted clear over the bolt before swinging into a new strand. Once the princess fired another beam, Peter severed his strand in reaction to the spider sense, managing to lasso a web of webbing onto Celestia's golden chest plate at that same moment. Swift moment, Spider-Man yanked onto the thread and zipped over the beam, but the Alcorn took aim with a flaming glaive as he approached her at supersonic speed. However, the stallion maneuvered his body at the last possible moment, avoiding the blade, grabbing the glaive's handle with his hoof, swinging around. Her landing atop the Alcorn's back. Peter bit down on his lip and grimaced in pain, feeling the flames of Ignis Solaris scorch his hoofs. But he did his best to ignore it. She swung at him, using her fiery glaive, missing by a mere hair's breadth as he ducked behind her barrel and swing, using her larger body to shield him from her attacks, while firing a number of strands of webbing into various anchor points along her neck and side. She kicked and bucked and teased him with lightning-fast stabs of her horn and blade, but he had a number of advances in close quarters combat. Before the princess's solar goddess knew how it happened, she found herself engulfed in a thick cocoon of fire-resistant webbing, several times stronger than steel. Her legs bound and her body unable to move. Before she could even hope to break free, Spider-Man leapt high in the air, one thick strand held in a hoof, using his inertia and a mighty yank to swing his prey around him in midair before launching her into the ground, creating a billowing dust cloud on impact. The fire of Ignis Solaris extinguished, leaving nothing but a smoking spark of quickly went out. Every pony stared at the scene in amazed silence as the stallion gracefully fell from the sky, landing perfectly despite the daunting height. Fortunately, before any pony could contemplate the fate of their ruler, a blaze erupted from the crater, clearing away the dust. Princess Celestia suddenly emerged, a vortex of flames roaring from her body. Even through the shield, the crowd could feel the heat of the flames. A pink field of force sprang up around the balcony above, protecting the ponies from the rising heat. Webbing melted and bubbled. Wisps of acrid white smoke hissed and frothed about the Alcorn's body as it evaporated. Celestia lifted with a mighty flap of her wings and faceplanted right into the cobblestone. She gritted her teeth and pushed herself upright, suddenly noticing that the webbing had melted into her fur and feathers, leaving her free to move, but plastered in only what could be described as gunk. Cursing under her breath, Celestia summoned her magic in a brief burst, A fine lance of magical energy settled over her body, pulling the melting webbing apart at the molecular level. Just as the webbing started to dissolve and break away, a flash of movement caught her attention. She gasped out loud once she saw Spider-Man a few hoof lengths away with his hoof, reared back to strike in a moment of distraction. Celestia had to abandon her attempts at regaining flight and reform her glaive in a panic. She knew Spider-Man was ridiculously strong. She had no wish to feel full-on hoof to the face as her sister had. "Sorry, this is a no-fly zone," Spider-Man exclaimed. She only barely managed to deflect a blow. Spider-Man followed with a barrage of punches aiming for the Alicorn's chest, which was, for the moment, left wide open. Swiftly, Celestia shifted her glaive and parried each attack. It proved rather difficult, leaving the princess to stumble back and resort to blocking directly for a moment, which led to Ignatius Solaris nearly snapping in two under the assault, and a moment of dizziness as her magic strained to hold it together. Celestia hopped back, desperate to create some distance between herself and her opponent. Spider-Man proved too quick, cutting off her escape route and continuing with his assault. The process of attack and deflect repeated between the two, increasing dramatically in speed with each step and blow. Spider-Man's host moved to a speed and destructive power of a turret, the damage taking a toll of Celestia's glaive. The opponent's mouth fell agape as both combatants moved at unbelievable speed, the images blurring as they fought throughout the courtyard. Spider-Man's blows could still be heard and felt, generating a small shockwave with each punch. Nobles looked in concern and amazed at the sheer, unadulterated speed. Foe Sophinis felt a sense of panic rise over her chest, desperate need for perfect foes taking root. "Slow down!" Finis cried out, snapping foes uncontrollably. Much to the chagrin of every pony around her, "It is impossible to capture what the eye cannot see." Yet the images in her mind gave the mayor some comfort, as well as ideas for her next photo shoot. The heat in the blue mare's face rose, evident by her crimson-stained cheeks. When Spider-Man skidded to a halt a brief second before leaping back into the fray. She giggled excitedly. "It even did such speedy escalation!" On the balcony, every pony watched the event with both amazement and bewilderment. The majority of the group couldn't follow Spider-Man and Celestia's movements under their own power, but the few capable of doing so maintained their silence and thoroughly concentrated, keeping both ponies within their sights. Cadence, unfortunately, was still preoccupied with Princess Luna. The sudden silence from others made her feel uncomfortable. "Can somebody please tell me what's happening?" Cadence pleaded, to her tone almost whining. Shining broke his gaze away from the scene and shook his head. "Hard to say. They're both moving so fast. It's difficult to make out." "Spider-Man has Princess Celestia on the defensive," Twilight said suddenly. Cadence remained locked in a bar in the courtyard. Shining Armor furrowed his brow, starting to question his sister. But he stopped in his tracks, having noticed Twilight's eyes were blank and glowing brightly. Through her magically enhanced vision, Twilight wants to clarify images appear, continuing against his relentless assault on Princess Celestia. Although she was able to hold a steady defense for a time, the Sun Goddess struggled to deflect a few of Spider-Man's attacks and was forced to block a wave of super powerful punches with her glaive directly. It was obviously put a strain on her. Her teacher was always one who remained in control of even the most dire situations. Throughout the majority of the battle with Pierre, thus far, Princess Celestia was under severe duress. Even from their distance, Twilight could see the signs of stress and fatigue clearly in her beloved teacher. Her beautiful snow-white cloak was blazed with dust spots, crimson scrapes, and violet bruises, one on her side and across her back, evidence that Spider-Man's attacks were actually taking a toll. While Celestia's defensive efforts were slowing, Spider-Man's grew more aggressive, the aches and fatigue failing to affect him in the slightest. I felt a strange tickling sensation course throughout her chest. Pierre had widely exceeded every pony's expectations. At this point, all he needed to do was to stay the course and finish the fight. She wanted her stallion to win for so many reasons, both personally and professionally. Her chest tightened, tingling and growing exponentially in volume. Twilight's senses as an alicorn were more acute than they'd ever been as a unicorn, specifically her ability to feel the magic within others. The mare's breathing swallowed as her massive surge of energy swelled within Celestia. Stinging Twilight's overly sensitive eyes, she cut off the energy to her super sense spell. The color in Twilight's eyes returned. She forced the lip of her throat down with a swallow. "Looks like Princess Celestia is gathering her magic for one final attack." Twilight knew the battle was approaching its climax. She placed her hoof over her chest, holding on to the faith in her heart as she placed in her love. "I know you can win this, Pierre. I believe in you." Spider-Man dove his hoof forward, forcing a drained Celestia to swing her glazed handle up to block the attack. The Solaris could not withstand any more of the stallion's assault. The singular crack echoed throughout the courtyard. Celestia's weary violet eyes widened as her trustworthy weapon snapped in two, the lower half falling to the ground, while the blade spun madly, embedded itself into the castle wall. But she couldn't react, the air having rushed out of her lungs suddenly. Spider-Man slammed herself into the Alcorn's chest, gathering her cold chest plate and creating a shockwave potent enough to whip up a strong gust of wind. Celestia drew in rough, ragged breaths, and slowly she fell to the side, her eyes gazing over, but her body could be met with the ground. The Alcorn vanished in a bright flash of light. Peter's sixth sense blared, but the stallion failed to react in time. Celestia reappeared in the span of a split second, horns shining with blinding light, was transformed to her golden shod hose. She reappeared in a bucking stance, directly in front of her opponent, using the last of her strength, both physical and magical. Celestia bellowed as she dove her hose right into Peter's forehead. The energy slammed his Spider-Man. The stallion glowed as bright as the noonday sun, by engulfed in a massive explosion. Forced her to blast, knocked Celestia to the ground, leaving her to roll for several meters before coming to a complete stop on her stomach. Spider-Man, however, soared to face the majority of the blast, his body a meteoric fireball as he flew across the courtyard with the speed of a bullet. He came to a violent, immediate halt when his back slammed against the magical barrier, shattering the entire force field like glass upon impact. The castle fell silent, everybody watching. The flames dissolved for Spider-Man's prone body with their eyes wide. Everybody's eyes found open as the stallion performed a simple kip-up, not only powdered the small traces of fire from his costume, remained of it anyway. Celestia's flames had burned away several large holes in his full bodysuit. Passes of further revealed were charred black. At least no pony could recognize his coat. Aside from his tattered costume, was to every pony's shock, awe, and amazement, Spider-Man was still in one piece and conscious and standing tall. Give me a break! While the beloved leader had not yet made it back to her host, she watched as the stallion tried to her position. She had yet to tap into her deepest reserves, but Celestia shook her head, knowing that portion of her power was saved only for extreme circumstances. The fact her opponent wasn't even winded yet. It took nothing for the current situation, considering Peter, like herself, held back a portion of his strength despite agreeing with Celestia he would fight seriously. She did not take it as an insult or sign of disrespect. Rather, Celestia saw this trait as something that strengthened her belief in the young stallion. Despite having such extraordinary powers, Peter almost never used them to their fullest capability, out of concern for his adversaries. Instead, he always sought for a way to defeat his enemies without resorting to lethal force or injuring them too badly. Celestia, letting her hose on the ground, forced herself to stand once Spider-Man was a few hoof lengths away. It was very possible for the Alicorn to continue to fight. But there was no need, for Peter had already proven himself far better for today. There would come a time to push Peter further in the very near future. Your skills are extraordinary, Celestia said between heavy breaths. Gasps of surprise escaped from the audience at an astounding sight. Princess Celestia, lowering herself to bow to the stallion, holding his stance for several moments. But the crowd erupted at their ruler's following words. You have bested me this day, Spider-Man. I yield. She closed her eyes and smiled warmly. The fight is yours. Shining Armor lost his grip, nearly falling over the balcony's railing, but Twilight's magic engulfed his body, levitating the stallion back on the solid ground. Quickly recollected his senses, face hoofing out seared to disbelief. First Salbar, the king of shadows, then the princess of the moon, Luna, now Peter, the goofy kid with the motor mouth, thus defeated the ruler of Equestria, Princess Celestia. Conceivably, one of the most powerful beings on the planet. With Princess Luna was arguable, Spider-Man's victory was luck, but with Celestia, it was irrefutable. Luck again! They fought in even rounds. In the end, Spider-Man's endurance and durability proved to be the tipping point. Plenty keys were right. Peter was far more than capable of handling his own. Shining his ears lowered into his mane, little sister proving him wrong about her cult friend again. Slowly turned to face Twilight, only to be greeted by a confident grin, strategically arched eyebrow. Shining rolled his eyes. Fine, I was wrong. His nose fell over his eyes with a clop. Jeez, Twilight, you're worse than my wife. Glanced off to the side. Good luck for Peter. You'll need it. At least I didn't have to say I told you so. She giggled before turning back to the courtyard, and breaking the crowd's arguing by stopping her hose in applause. The friends followed her example, cheering wildly as they leaned over her railing. The Crusaders bounced in place, screeching Spider-Man with all their might. Younger sister Applewoman and biggest fan Scootaloo competing for who could scream the loudest. Caragant guards, though hesitant, showed the newcomer their respect, as did the nobles. The one noble, since it was full of fists, was overstreet screams of marvelous and spectacular echoed from the crowd. Twilight felt her chest grow tight, and her smile widened. Peter, I knew you could do it. Listen to this, Spider-Man, Celestia said softly, making sure her voice could only be heard by the pony beside her. Pony's tears increased in volume, echoing across the whole character lot. You have become a beacon of hope for our world. You are a positive influence to those around you, especially Twilight Sparkle. Celestia paused, sending her final gaze to the group on the balcony. I honestly say that you and the wielders of the elements of harmony are our greatest of champions. Oh, you remember they exist! This is why I believe it is time for you to take the next step. She turned to face Spider-Man with a warm smile. I ask that you disregard your secret identity and become something more. Peter's eyes widened as Celestia proceeded to reveal to him exactly what she meant to that. He felt lightheaded, wavered on his feet as she talked. That couldn't be right. No, that wasn't right. You could set your face a tile, maybe. But it did seem to fit Spider-Man's style description, but that... How can you hope to live up to that? Celestia's sordid voice broke into his rising panic. After all your sacrifices, you deserve nothing less. Twilight believes this with all her heart. The Unicorn placed her hoof over his chest. I do as well. If not for massive signs to hide his physical features, Celestia would have seen Peter's jack-slaw expression. The entire situation was surreal. Peter couldn't help but question his own merits. He hadn't done anything that any decent person wouldn't have done in his place. He had power and used it responsibility, that was all. He didn't deserve this, he just didn't. Peter's mind spun, struggling to make sense of the situation. His heart tightened as a part of him wondered if this wasn't his life's purpose here in Equestria. Yet both sides of him collided in a battle of conceptions, raising more questions, and settling more doubt. Equestria was certainly safer than Earth, or rather, didn't have nearly as many superpowered psychopaths roaming about. Plus, the inhabitants were kinder, opening their hearts far easier than the often petty humans did on Earth. In any case, a secret identity prevented the villains from hunting down his loved ones. Keeping the truth from those closer to him also proved to be ill-advised, leaving them surprised when things went awry. It wasn't as if his friends and inhabitants of Equestria were completely helpless, wielding their own form of magic. 6 of them were the fatal elements of harmony, known to friends and villains alike. Was the mask no longer needed? Was it finally time for Peter Parker and Spider-Man to be openly acknowledged by every pony as one and the same? Ideal situation. Live in a world without that dread secret tearing his life asunder. Peter stared his gaze skyward to the lavender alicorn on the balcony, the beautiful centerpiece of the stallion's sphere. Part of him wanted to accept Princess Celestia's proposal. He couldn't help feeling unworthy of everything the pathway expected of him. After a moment's hesitation, Spider-Man extended his hoof, fired a string of webbing into one of the castle's main roofs, shaking his head sadly. I'm honored, Princess Celestia, but... Peter trailed off. Mike's doubts meeting with his heart's desire yet another collision. He couldn't make a decision, not right now. I need some time to think, he declared. Jerking his hoof, the webbing recoiled and lifted the stallion with a spring, swinging over the castle's wall and out of every pony's view. Celestia watched the stallion, holding her ground. I understand, she whispered. For the nobles, guards, and ponies on the balcony rushed to her side. There was much to discuss over subjects, and Celestia knew she would have to attend to each question accordingly, despite wanting to comfort Peter and give him a little assurance. However, as if a late realization came into mind, Celestia's eyes widened at the sight of her student, or lack thereof, was nowhere to be found amongst the gathering masses. Let's curl a smile. Something monumental was obviously on Peter's mind, and Twilight was already primed to help him talk it through. Several hours had passed since the conclusion of the duel between Spider-Man and Princess Celestia. Night sky spread across the land. Starlit sky gave the inhabitants the silvery light of the heavens to admire. All his friends and the Crusaders returned to Ponyville, having most of their jobs to attend to the next day. Shining Armor and Canes went back to the Crystal Empire after things settled down. Also agreed to come back tomorrow to review the situation with Peter and other matters. Peter remained in his quarters at Carolot Castle. Princess Canes was kind enough to use her magic to give his natural healing ability a boost and remove the majority of his pain. Though the minor birds were gone and risk of infection was cleared, Stallion's muscles still felt tender in some areas. The best he could do was sit tight and hope his fur would grow back. Peter also didn't want to risk aggravating Cadence, so he returned with her aunt for using a weapon made out entirely of fire, when a force construct would have been enough. Peter rested fine on his back and was hosed extensively on a pack of ice. He stared at it blankly at the ceiling, as his mind attempted to sort things out with his heart. Needless to say, the eternal debate was not progressing well, ending with irritated self-recrimination and pulsing mind rains. set his eyes, begging the sweet release of sleep would take him away. But was for naught, serving only to frustrate the stallion further. Once his brow furrowed, wrinkling the burnt spot on his forehead, Pierre cringed and cursed under his breath. His gaze lowered from the ceiling to his crimson mask resting over his chest, like Gus staring intently at the pony. Pierre lifted his mask with his hose and held it high over his face. The mask had always been a symbol, resembling something he always longed to be. But to those closest to him and who knew the secret, Pierre and Spider-Man were one and the same. That was his problem. They weren't the same. Spider-Man was who he wanted to be, who he needed to be. Spider-Man was the mask he always wore to hide from who he was. But it wasn't him. Spider-Man was the hero. Peter Parker was just ordinary, average, a total loser. He had never hoped to live up to Spider-Man's legacy of heroism, or how many to try. For their sakes, especially Twilight's, he would gladly bid farewell to the mask, but was there available where he could. Peter sighed, a desolate shadow falling over his hazel eyes. He didn't want to let any pony down, but with his track record, there was a good chance of him failing miserably. And every time he did, someone always seemed to die. What should I do? Peter whispered as his mask was listening. Soft echoed from the suit's entrance, preventing Stallion from entering another mental argument. Once himself in the same position, Peter swiftly threw his mask underneath his pillow and faced the door. Who is it? Come on in! Magical energy wrapped around the doorknob, and the door slowly opened, allowing Twilight to peek her head into the room. She stammered upon seeing her Stallion in bed. Were you asleep? She buzzed. Her prayers were evident. Did I come at a bad time? Peter's lips curling in a smile, filling the mirror with a sense of warmth and relief. No, I always love seeing you, Twilight, he said, shaking his head. I couldn't really get to sleep anyway. You've been here the entire time? I've been searching for you since you last left the courtyard, she said, brushing a few strands of her mane behind her ear. It's always in the last place you look. Because you found what you're looking for. Ha! Peter laughed uproariously, crossing his sides. Tears from his eyes. Ow, it hurts to laugh. That's not even particularly funny, Twilight stated, blankly at the Stallion. Is that not one of your preferences? You don't stop, you'll only get worse. Please, babe, let's not have a heated argument. His pain indeed worsened, leaving Stallion to whimper pitifully. Love me tender, love me true. Twilight rolled her eyes. Why do I even want to try? She took the moment to close the door and made her way to the Stallion, who scooted to the edge of the bed. It braced her the instant she got close. His hooves fell over her slender shoulders as Peter's gaze fell to the open window on the other side of the room. The elevator alicorn stammered the extent of his burns, obviously discomforted at how many of them there were, relieved at how much he healed since the fight. How are your hooves? Can you walk? Peter shrugged, mentally taking stock of how much they hurt. I can now. Canes patched me up not too long ago. As long as I'm not onto them for too long, it should be fine. Everything else is bothering me, really. How about we talk about it? Twilight suggested quietly, placing her up over Peter's cheek and bringing his gaze to meet hers. Sam had his mouth open. The mare's toe slid over his mouth before a response could be made. Twilight shook her head. No, not here. Let's take it somewhere a little more private. She smiled as her cheeks gathered heat. There's a beautiful spot on the outskirts of Sweet Apple Acres called Winston Falls. Would you mind if we go out there now? With his hold, Peter edged away, and reached down and placed himself over Twilight's. Bit of us there, Night Sparkle. Twilight's horn glowed momentarily, before both points disappeared in a bright flash of light.